Hello everybody, and Happy New Year. This is the first podcast of 2024, welcoming all of you from a place of curiosity and creation and leaning into the current. And today I'm with Karine Labrosse again, a really good friend, collaborator, Karine. And we will be speaking into entering co-creations from a place of embodiment. And we're always bridging themes and subjects with the general theme of embodiment. And today we're diving into this as we are planning the year and we are tapping into how the year wants to be unfolded based on what we receive as information from the creation field. So, Karine, hi.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here again with you, starting this new year, and as you said, planning the year ahead and seeing what wants to be created and co-created this year, because I think it's both of us want more co-creation. I know that you've had some successes and some less success with co-creation as I did. And we wanted to maybe talk about that, see why some co-creations are more successful than others, and what we can do about it, and how we can come at it from a place of clarity, and how embodiment weaves into that. So maybe you can start with telling us like a bit what's your journey through co-creation and how it succeeded and maybe less
Yes, and
succeeds.
I love that you put succeed and less because it's not necessarily failing. It's just
Mm,
for me it's about alignment. There was, and every punctual creation, co-creation is in alignment with what must happen in the now. So there's a lot of peace and surrender when we take like this. Oh, I'm being called into this co-creation, and then okay, it might not go as planned, but there's different reasons. Either the relationship was not ripe enough, or the baby, the essence of the baby was not ripe enough to be born onto the
mm,
planet. So either the parents or the baby itself, the soul, was not ready to be received on the planet, speaking the language that we speak here. But yes, I've always aspired to co-creation and to collaboration, really genuine co-creations. But the thing is, what I realized is, as much as my high heart is longing for this, as much as it's a process in the body. So it's
mm.
easy to say, oh, let's get together and create this community and like have these big, beautiful visions. It's really amazing in vision. But when it comes to the tangible work that is required in 3D reality, it's most of the time absolutely not paradise.
I can testify to that.
Yeah, and anybody who's listening right now who have gone through co-creations and big visions, everybody realized this. And it's not that it's negative, it's just that the work required is much more than we usually think. And not only work in terms of tasks,
Mm,
but personal work, inner work, and also relational work. So what I realized through first collaboration and actually entering tangible co-creations is that, as anything in life, we always need to enter this uh, from the connection to ourselves first, from a deep self-knowledge at all levels. So it does require having a mirror in front of us and looking at ourselves on a daily basis, taking 100% responsibility to what's happening inside of us, of ourselves, thoughts, emotions, desires, projections, frustrations, all of the spectrum. And also, yes, our response to the outside and how we are actually manifesting the outside, the co-creator, meaning that what we hold inside, as we often say, gets reflected on the outside.
mm.
So by cultivating an energy inside, it will have repercussions on the outside and everything that's created. But we're not going to go too deep in this part of the subject, but rather in to enter co-creations, we need to be somehow ready. And it's not about being ready and being perfect. It's like two parents coming together to create a child. None of the parents is perfect, but the more each parent or each co-creator, if we take a project, is really in alignment with their message, their wisdom, their truth, their inner world, their gifts, their essence, you know, their voice, their power, the more when these people meet, how can I say this? The more they're gonna get out of the way of creation, of the creation field, and why they actually come together. Because when we zoom out and we look at creation, it's not personal. There's a baby, there's a new frequency that wants to be born on the planet. It can be through a baby or it can be through a project. A new paradigm wants to come to the planet through different forms. And then some people are being tapped, consciously or unconsciously, they're being tapped and being brought energetically together from this invisible force, divinely orchestrated, like I love saying, to come together and bring this baby into the world, so that the planet can be enhanced, because this baby is born, you know, a new soul is on the planet with its new gifts, whether that be in a form of a baby or in a form of a project or a community, and it brings gifts to the planet. You know, that's in the ideal. This is how creation is. At least this is how I'm feeling creation and how I'm taking creation in. Obviously, I don't, you know, it's not about owning the truth here. It's really about how I'm perceiving things and how I'm operating, and this is what I'm sharing. What I've tangibly realized in co-creations is that each one needs to have walked their personal path first. They need to have done some personal work, healing, transformation. If you're going to be space holders in the same space, I think it's very important that each person has held a lot of space before for individual groups and has found their inner value through direct experience, not thinking about it, but really direct experience, building confidence on the terrain, like on the playground, you know? It's very logical when you think about it.
Yeah.
Or else there will be some kind of gap and it will not be balanced. Another thing, when it comes to co-creations, what I feel it's important, and for having gone through this myself many times, is to have this balance between the feminine and the masculine, to really be in this, you know, tantric dance, the polarities, and everybody be ideally as integrated as they can within their feminine and masculine energies, so that they can bounce, you know, so that they can bounce between, okay, I'm taking lead here, I'm creating structure, you lean into this creative flow, create, and then then organically everything is super organic. Again, I'm speaking ideal and I'm speaking direct experience. I'm really sharing how I'm navigating these things. And I can use different languages also, but the important is to really take ownership on and responsibility on being both in the masculine and the feminine. That way it's going to give a break to everybody. Everybody's going to be able to bring pleasure also in the co-creation. And the hardest part is to remove the personal agendas from it. So I'm not saying to totally neglect personal desires, because it's super important. They need to be acknowledged to have embodied power. We have to acknowledge the reality of the body, so that these creations are also in alignment with personal needs, or else there's going to be a disconnection, and it's going to operate from, let's say, the top chakras or the top parts of the body, and there's going to be a disconnect from the primal energy, which is really the embodied power. So we don't want this. But when it comes to creating organically, there is a current, there's an intention that we are all serving. So it's not about you choose, I choose, I'm right, you're wrong. Absolutely not. Every time we see that we are in a zone of like, we don't know what to do, we don't know where to go, like, oh, her point of view is better than this point of view, and blah, 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 we stop. We just stop, we take a step back, and we lean into the why. We lean into why were we brought together in the first place? What is the magic what magic was in the air that brought us together? What inspiration, what visions were coming to us? at the beginning, and it had a frequency, it had a texture, it had some images, and it's retapping into the current. And then it releases the mind from all the stuckness, the constrictions of the mind. We rebirth into the current, and we follow the guidance of where the current chooses to bring us. And sometimes, most of the time, I would say that when we call it less success, is that the bodies of each individual, how can I say this? The bodies of each individual that are participating in this co-creation is not ripe enough to handle the potential of this baby, right? There's a shake. There's too much of attachment to outside life, and it requires devotion, right?
Yeah.
And then they either eject themselves out, or the matrix itself of the baby will eject them out. So I'm sharing a lot. I'm sure you have like other comments, but you know me, if I start on a roll, I can speak. Okay.
Of course, and there's so much to be said about that, but it's like I'd like to hear you more about the role of embodiment and how you've used it over the years to clarify that and yeah, be able to discern what's happening in your body and versus the mind, because it's, as you said, it's kind of easy to kind of get it into the trap of working here. We hold the vision and we're like super enthusiastic about it, and then we're like, oh yes, 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 da, 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 da. And then the reality of the body hits and sometimes we're paralyzed or we're just aching. Or how, like for you, how does it manifest that kind of, oh, okay, something is not quite aligned in this co-creation? How do you navigate that in your body? What are like the symptoms or and yeah.
Okay, all right, let's go into this direct experience a bit. I mean, for me, it's about the fluidity of the dance. How do we bounce with one another? And I'm very sensitive to energy, to frequency, to the frequency of what wants to be born. So how, by creating space in my body, I live from within. So I'm always kind of intimate with the currents of energies that are around me. So I'm not saying that everybody who's watching or listening right now have developed this capacity to receive the information. For this, you do need the embodiment piece that creates space and build a resilience around the nervous system to detox what's not required from the body so that we can capture information. I really believe that all of us humans are sensitive. We just have learned to protect the nervous system from being overloaded by information and from protecting ourselves from overwhelm, because we just haven't learned how to process information. It just goes in the mind, and then the mind loops, and the body naturally and intelligently will create knots because it's too much. It's burning. So the embodiment piece is crucial because we want to train our bodies to receive information and to respond, and receive information and respond, rather than receive information and analyze. Right? So we receive information, and our body has built so much trust in the knowing, the intuitive part, that it's responding and readjusting fast. Or else it will go into the mind and it will create a story, and then it will take a year when it can take actually a second. And I'm not joking.
Yeah.
So yeah. So this part of embodiment is to speak into the symptoms per se, physically. You know, for example, co-creations can be co-creating, like in terms of what we do here is co-creating projects, right? A vision, and also having teammates. So we can have people we co-create, workshops or retreats together, and we also have teammates, right? People who work with the vision. That's also co-creation. We are working with other human beings in the direction of a vision. So for me, to work with team members is not exactly the same as working with a co-creator who we are actually birthing together. But there are some similarities, meaning that everybody has their own pace and they have their own design, right? They move differently in life. Like, you don't move in life the same way that I move in life. So it has an energetical signature to its movement. So, for example, if I put myself in the position of, let's say, the main creator or co-creator, I'm very intimate with the movement of each people in my team, each person in my team. And because they're serving a current that's here to upgrade, I feel when they're leaning into it, or I feel when they're detoxing from it, or I feel when they're actually running away from it. So for example, when I feel that somebody is running away from it too much, I'm going to go and take my, fishing rod, and I'm going to, tap them on the shoulder and say, hey, I'm going to kind of bring them back, and we'll have a conversation. That's a symptom. It's energetical symptom. How it manifests in life is like procrastinating tasks, or not answering on, tags on our, project management platforms, or not replying to emails, or getting sick,
Yeah.
and then like taking a week off, or something like this, most of the time when after 1 or 2 months, especially with teammates, what I realize is that they're either on board or not. If they have spent more than 1 month, 1 month and a half, their body is just getting recalibrating to the vision, and I have learned about how they move. Then I need to make a decision. Is it a good partnership? Like, do their rhythm fit the pace at which the baby wants to grow? Do their skills, gifts, and the way they show up fit? So then it's a bit more tangible, and it's a tangible choice. And sometimes it's like, no, we cannot continue because your spirit is taking you there. I'm very sensitive to this. And the spirit of what we are creating is going there. So then there's a breakup. And it's usually for the best of everybody, for the best of everybody. Yeah. So other symptoms, physical symptoms, I'm trying to see, again, in this feminine masculine dance, if, for example, I'm in a masculine, I'm creating the structure and I'm putting, tasks together. If I let go and I'm in a co-creation, will the other person with the felt sense take the lead and start pouring in? So creating the void so that the masculine can penetrate in a way, and creating the direction so that the feminine can feel safe and create with it. So in co-creation, that's more what it is. So the physicality of it is more like, okay, not testing, but being more in the dance and seeing how the bounce is. And at one point, if the making love part is not good and there's not real tantric exchange, let's put it like this, but it's true, because
it is.
It's pleasurable, but with making love, there's also, bumps, and like, it's not always super flowy. There's resistance in the way, but the work itself is to release the resistance so that there's more ecstasy that can come through the bodies, which is the same with, how can the baby thrive? It's by releasing this. So
and it's also, like, for me, one of the positive symptom, if I can say it like that, joy is a good indicator of like, if it's pleasurable, you can feel that the co-creation is kind of good. And this is also when your embodiment practice, or you're attuned to your body, you can sense also that joyful part and go from there. And would you agree to that?
I love it. I would love to be like in joy and ecstasy every single second of my life. It's not the case all the time. And it doesn't mean that if we don't have joy, that it's not aligned. But, joy is in the highest frequencies we can have. Peace is one, love is one. The work is to see what's in the way of this frequency and to address it. For example, one thing that really gets me irritated is when things stagnate, or when things are not flowing enough, because we're bringing a higher frequency into the planet. Physical 3D takes more time than our visions. Our visions, it's like, it's done now. But the physicality of things, it's like, it's dense. So we have to go through the discomfort of what's in the way at the body level, B, with a big B. And when we decrust the path like this, right? When we open the path, it's not necessarily going to be in joy, right? In the frequency of joy. But with the attitude of being in gratitude when this happens and choosing to bring the frequency of joy. As we do this, we are reprogramming the creation in 3D, right? It's a reprogrammation, because our bodies in 3D have not necessarily learned to be in joy at the root level. You know, we see in African tribes, they're very much enjoy because they have cultivated something. But I would not say that in our part of the world, it's this case. We have learned to work hard to earn money. We have learned that everything is an obligation. We have been put in schools that have, told us to stay straight and like to write like this, imposed. So we are conditioned to not necessarily move in joy, but there's a possibility to create more space and to shift through the path, to shift everything in gratitude and joy. Like, I'm going to be 100% honest. In the last 2 weeks, through the process of leaning into creation, right, I purged twice, 2 different days. Like, I just vomited for hours. And because I know very well the process of starting to embody more light, as difficult as it was, as I was purging, right? As I was purging, I was weaving the discomfort and the pain in my body with these codes of gratitude and like saying thank you and celebrating, like, wow, okay, there's more space. There's definitely more that wants to come in my body, and my body's releasing the toxins that are in the way. My cells want to integrate more light, so they're purging out the toxins. So it might sound like it's totally uncommon, right? Totally uncommon. But this is the invitation, and it's an invitation for the joy. So I love what you shared, but the reality of it is sometimes I wake up and my body's dense. And sometimes I go to bed and like there's tons of thoughts, some thoughts that are not even mine, because we live in environments and there's tons of information. So the personal hygiene of meditating and creating space and building this inner connection and having your practices is going to support, yes, having your womb and your creative center pulsate with life force. And yes, there's a deep inner joy, like a buzzing, that is felt. Yeah.
And we're attuned to that. But it's great. And I also love that you share that sometimes it's really uncomfortable. I think we were also trained to be more in competition than co-collaboration. So at first, also in the body, it might feel super uncomfortable to really try to co-create and not be in that energy of I'm better and he's better, and like you mentioned earlier. So I really think that the embodiment practice helps us to feel that in a way that, and I feel it's deep in the matrix of how we were raised here in North America. I'll speak for myself, but I can also see it from other people that really weaving in the matrix of how we were thought to. Sometimes they say collaborate, but I feel that most of the time it's more competitive than real co-creation. So
I love that you bring this topic. It's so true. I didn't speak into it, but you're bringing it, and it's super true. That's why tapping into one's inner value and confidence before entering co-creation is super important, because you're really co-creating from a place of like you really deeply know what you're here to bring to the world. Like, and if the person you're co-creating with or the group you're co-creating with, let's say, have like more or whatever, or like you start comparing yourself, it's not in a competitive way, it's in an inspirational way. You're like, oh wow, I'm inspired to grow with their energy. I'm inspired because I want to be with them. I want to co-create. It doesn't come from the wounded feminine or the wounded masculine of like, oh, I've got to prove to myself, or I've got to show the world that I'm better than this person, which is very tensed. And again, it's learned at school, all the grades and like comparison. It's a very deep topic. And then we would enter the zone of like the wounding of being abandoned and rejected by blah, 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 the tribe if we're not good enough, and the survival that comes with this, the validation. But it's beautiful, beautiful bridge that you did. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we could go on for hours. on this topic because there's so many things, but I wanted to bring it back to embodiment and what you offer. And I feel that, well, for me, embodiment has been part of my journey for a while now, and how it helped me to know myself, and how having someone like you as a mentor has helped me get through. I think we're not meant to go at it alone. So, of course, I'm preaching to the choir, but I wanted to hear you on that.
On the embodiment piece and walking alone.
Yeah.
Sometimes the path will be alone, right?
Yeah. For sure.
I cannot name the number of times that I felt very alone, very, very alone, not in a lonely way, but very alone because, like I said, it really stems from this deep self-knowledge and this deep intimacy with oneself first. So there is a portion of the path that it's important to have this aloneness and to really be comfortable with oneself. And then to share is like the magic. To come together as soul tribes and people who are, let's say, on the same mission per se, or who are following the same visions in texture and frequencies. Honestly, for me, this is when life is like really starting and we're really starting to play. And I really feel that I'm just starting to enter this in an aligned way, even though I tried many times before. But now what I'm starting to attract in my life, I feel that it's more quality, and it's there's something, a texture that's different, and I'm sure I'm gonna have more to share in 6 months of now. But I'm bowing, not, yeah, there's a natural like kind of bow that happens in my body in saying thank you, because I've been craving being able to share in with other people, really with conscious communication and authentic relating, and really seeing my sister or my brother in their like gifts, but from an anchored place, really anchored place, and knowing that each one of us have their roles and each one of us have a spot to take, and that leaning into trust and the divinely orchestrated creations, things get placed. It's not about, oh, this is my place and I'm going to hook on that place. It's about, no, I'm surrendering into the creation, and wherever God chooses to put me, I'm leaning into it, because it means that it's the perfect place I need to embody now. And then it doesn't mean that I'm going to stay there forever. It means that this is where I'm being positioned. And our whole life and our whole embodiment path is about practicing, like training our bodies to be positioned. We are training and we're going through all these experiences, sometimes so crazy and so wild and so painful sometimes. But why? Our bodies are being trained to be positioned. We are being positioned in the divine creation. And at one point, after all these years, we're suddenly, I don't know, speaking on a stage and influencing thousands of people, or creating an amazing inspirational or transformative event with a person you would have never thought. And then you're like, you stay in the magic and in the awe. We were speaking about joy before. That's where the joy stems from. It's from this moment of like, wow, like, look at where I'm being positioned right now. And then there's no words. There's just a feeling inside of like a bow, a gratitude, and kind of like this bubbling, like I was saying, this buzzing of I'm good. Everything's good. Everything is I am being moved. We are being moved. And for this, it does require the resilience in the nervous system. I'm saying this as if it's, wow, easy, but it's absolutely not. It's absolutely not. There is a path behind this. There is formulas. There is choosing to be guided. And it's with great humility that I say this. Never, ever would I be where I am if I did not have a lot of teachers and a lot of people I was asking questions to, and who were having my back when I was having doubts. I would not be saying this if I hadn't practiced and hadn't connected this pathway inside my body. So it's a choice. I'm saying that it's 100% accessible to you, but there is some kind of formula. And obviously you lean into it and you discover from your own selves, you discover for yourselves all of this. But at one point you would be in our shoes or other people's shoes and you will be saying the same things, most probably.
Yeah.
That together we go faster and yeah, it's a choice of path on a daily basis, but there's no other path I would be choosing right now.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So yeah, my invitation to people who are listening is, if you want to know more and if you want to join the community and your mentorship programs, just reach out to Jen, and I'm sure you'll be happy to answer questions, and all the infos are are probably available somewhere. You can in the
Yes.
comments.
Yeah, in the comments, check the description. Everything is there.
Yeah. Did you
Or
want to
send
say
an email.
something? Yeah.
I want to say
Something
thank you,
else?
Karen. I want to say thank you because we're speaking into co-creation and you know, we've been like sisters per se for what, like 14 years or 13 years. And yeah, right. And I want to just say thank you, for the divine to keep orchestrating us together. And like 4 years ago, we were speaking about the vision that's starting to take form again. And we had a few abortions, through this. And we just keep on showing up. So I really honor our friendship and the connection that is beyond time and space. And I really thank your energy for saying yes and supporting the vision that's in creation. So that's actually what my heart wants to say. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oh my God. I'm gonna be emotional. I love you. It's been a pleasure all these years, and it's still a pleasure. And I'm really happy that you give me that space to be myself and to co-create with you. So it's really a pleasure.
Love you. All right.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna cry. Okay. Ciao everybody. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.